Welcome back to Rocky Railway. We're on track for another incredible day. This is Diana again from Hanscom Park Church. We've been imagining what it's like to ride a steam engine, traveling through the massive Rocky Mountains. It takes a lot of power to pull those heavy train cars through those steep, winding mountains. Earlier we talked about how the same steam that makes this tea kettle whistle can give a train the power to pull a whole line of train cars. That makes me wonder, what else is powered by steam? So I did some research. Some power plants use steam, and they give power to entire cities. A long time ago, steam powered tractors, cars, and ships. Steam can create a lot of power. Today we're talking about God's Son Jesus and the awesome, huge, bigger than death power he has. There's a verse in the Bible that reminds us that the same mighty, awesome, unbelievable power that brought Jesus back to life lives inside of us. Wow. If you traveled on a train, your trip would have a beginning and an end. Life is like that too. We all begin when we're born, and our lives end when we die. When we think about the end of life, it can make us feel really sad. But Jesus' power is amazing. With Jesus' power, we can have a life in heaven that goes on and on and on. That's our Bible point today. Jesus' power lets us live forever. Our life on earth will end, but because of Jesus, we can have the power to live with him in heaven forever. So our Bible buddy Finn is going to help us remember that Jesus' power lets us live forever. Let's find out what he has to say. Finn is fantastic and surprising. A reminder of Jesus' power and love. You're going to have a fantastic day on Rocky Railway. So let's get started. Get aboard. Let's see where we're heading today on our Bible adventure. See you later.
Are you ready to splash into another fantastic day at VBS? I'm Finn, a rainbow trout. I'm happiest when I'm taking a dip in a clean, bubbly mountain stream. This is the life. This stream is where I began life. This exact spot where I hatched is pretty important to me, but we'll get to that later. I spend most of my day flipping my fins, swishing my scales, and exploring this awesome river looking for food. I love to eat. Me and my fishy friends spend about 80% of our day looking for food. I use my mouth to poke around and look for good stuff to eat. And sometimes I end up getting a mouthful of weeds and sticks. Not bad. Of course, it's not as good as the bugs or the crustaceans I usually like. I'll even jump out of the water for them. God gave me something super sharp to help me find food. My eyes. They show me what to eat and what to stay away from. After being born, I might travel to a new stream far away from my home. But when it's time to lay eggs, rainbow trout always return home. My cousins, steelhead trout, travel from a freshwater stream all the way to the ocean. Even if they've lived in the ocean for a couple of years, they swim against the stream to make it back home. That takes a lot of power. Wow. Home is important to me and my fish family. Jesus knew that a forever home was important too. That's why Jesus died, to pay for all the wrong things you've ever done or will ever do. Because those sins are paid for, you can have life forever in an awesome place called heaven. But Jesus' power doesn't just cover your sins. Jesus is so powerful that he beat death forever. But it gets even better. The Bible tells us the Spirit of God, who raised Jesus from the dead, lives in you. That means a friendship with Jesus gives you the same awesome power that let him beat death. Wow! So, if you're feeling worried or sad, or things seem out of control, remember that Jesus' power is bigger than anything, and it's right there for you. Jesus' power lets us live forever. Trust Jesus.
Get on board. Get on board, little children, get on board. Little children, get on board. Little children, there's room for many a more. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to see you again today. This is the Rocky Railway, and it's lesson number 4. We hope that you've been at all the other lessons, and we hope that you get to join us again tomorrow for another lesson. But if you haven't, that's okay too. We're just wanting you all to get on board with us. You know, today we're going to talk about a very special topic, and that topic is God's love for us. Can you say that with me? God's love for us. Thanks, that sounds great. Now, I know that there are a lot of things that you love to do, right? Put on your thinking caps. What are the things that you love to do? You love to go fishing. That's right. Oh, and you love to ride your bike. Oh, and you like to be in plays at school. Putting on costumes. That's a great thing to do. And baseball. Sure, everybody loves to play baseball. How about singing in the choir? That's something that I really love to do. And because of where we find ourselves, behind these screens and you watching us on your computer, singing is very hard to do, especially singing together. Well, you have things that you love to do, and God loves us as well. We started our lesson with that today. So how do you think it is that God shows love for us? That's a hard one, isn't it? How does God show love for us? Take a second and think about that. How about bringing us good friends? That sounds like a great way that God shows love for us. How about something that walks on 4 legs and is very furry? Your cat or your dog, or maybe it's a fish that you have in your aquarium. God brings all of those creatures to us as gifts of love. And how about your family? We all know that we'd be lost without our family. God's gift of love for us. Well, you know, there is a word that we say shows God's love for us in an incredible way. The word is Emmanuel. It means God with us. Emmanuel. Could you say that word with me? Emmanuel. God with us. And the way that God showed us how to be in relationship, God being with us, was a great gift of love. And we know this person. It was Jesus Christ. Have you ever thought of Jesus Christ as God's great gift of love to us? Emmanuel, God with us. Well, Jesus loved everyone he met. Many of you know stories in the Bible that show Jesus' love. Take a minute to think about that, and maybe you could even ask another person who might be there in the room with you if they know a story about Jesus' love. How about the Samaritan woman that was at the well? And he asked her for a drink of cool water. And then they had a talk. That was Jesus loving someone. How about Jesus' good friends? Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. He showed love for them many, many different ways and at different times. There are many stories about those people in the Bible. Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And we can't forget the disciples, can we? Of course not. Jesus loved his disciples, every single one. maybe some of you can think of other stories about Jesus' love for us. Well, you know, that word, L-O-V-E, love, has so many different meanings. And it's all for that same tiny little word, L-O-V-E, love. Well, one of the ways that we can show our love, and we can make it out of like an object lesson, in other words, we can cut it out of paper, is, here it is, look, paper, fold in half, find some scissors, and cut out a heart. We're going to take just a few minutes, so you cut out your heart, and if you'd like to design it, or bedazzle it, or make some patterns on it with Crayolas or with markers, do whatever you'd like. Here we go.
Go.
Cut, 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 cut. Well, I didn't have much time to make a beautiful design like you all did, or maybe even paste lovely jewels on it, but I did make a heart. Pretty good, don't you think? Art is not one of my strong suits. Let's just say that. But I was able to create this paper heart. You know, the word heart, just like the word love, has many different meanings. For example, you could have your heart beat, or sometimes when we eat the wrong thing, we have heartburn. Or sometimes when people are mean to us, we say they are cold-hearted. Or if you are brave and courageous, you might have a lion's heart. Well, we can see that we have more hearts in front of us now, and we're going to talk about those special hearts in just a minute. You know, when Jesus was alive and on earth with us, he spoke many different languages. Maybe some of you speak different languages too. But one of the languages that Jesus had to speak was Greek. And there are many words for love in the Greek language. Unfortunately, we only have one word for the word love. That's the word love. But the most common word that Jesus had was the word agape. It's a Greek word, agape. Could you say that with me? Agape. And that was the love that Jesus had for everyone that he met. The word agape. You know, as we look at these hearts, and as we think about the word love, did you know that there is a World Heart Day? That's right, September 29, World Heart Day. And we think about being strong-hearted on World Heart Day and taking good care of our physical heart. But there's another special day connected with hearts and love. I wonder if you can guess what it is. That's right, St. Valentine's Day, February 14th, the day that we give Valentines out. It might be an interesting time this year, especially if we don't have any school to give Valentines. Maybe you should start getting ready by creating some virtual Valentines, and then you'll be ahead of everyone else. But on St. Valentine's Day, we also remember the saint that the day is named for. That was a priest by the name of Valentine. He was a very courageous priest because when he was told that he couldn't do something, he went ahead and did it anyway. Have you ever been told not to do something, but you did it anyway? Well, you may have gotten in trouble. And so did the priest named Valentine. Well, it was a very confusing time for him. And when Jesus called his disciples together out of love for a meal that we call the Last Supper, it was a very confusing time for them as well. So Jesus tried to help them. You know, so many accountings in the Bible are Jesus trying to help us to love one another through his words and through his stories. I would like to read you a story from the Gospel book of John, and it's the time when Jesus calls his disciples for what we just called the Last Supper. He said these words to them in the 13th chapter of the book of John at the 34th verse. I give you a new commandment. Love each other just as I have loved you. So you also must love one another. And this is how everyone will know that you are my disciples, when you love one another. Simon, the one who was also called Peter, said to Jesus, Lord, where are you going? Jesus answered, where I am going, you can't follow me now, but maybe you can come later. Peter asked, Jesus, why can't I follow you now? I'll give up my life for you. And Jesus said to Peter, will you give up your life for me? Will you give up your life for me? Jesus said. Wow, that's kind of an interesting question. Why do you suppose Jesus asked that question of Peter? Peter, the rock. Peter, the one that Jesus said, I'm going to build a church, and Peter, it's going to be on you because you're my rock. Yet when Peter says, I'll give up my life for you, Jesus says, will you give up your life for me? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Can you imagine how confused it was to be a disciple of Jesus? Most days, things seemed you could be at the top of the world because everything seemed to be going along very, very well. But then there were those terrible times, you know the stories, when things would happen, when people would gather and they weren't very nice to the disciples or especially to Jesus. Well, these days, the Last Supper days that were leading into a time that we call the crucifixion were very confusing times for the disciples. But they weren't confusing times for Jesus. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was about God's work. Jesus goes on to say these words to the disciples. Don't be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. My God's house has room to spare. If that weren't the case, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? When I go to prepare a place for you, I will return and take you to be with me, so that where I am, you will be too. And that way, you'll know the place where we are going. Now that's an interesting story. Jesus says to his disciples, in God's house, there's plenty of room. You know, Bible theologians and scholars, there's two big words, theologians and scholars. That means people who really study the Bible scholars tell us that sometimes when we talk about God's house, we also are talking about God's heart. And that in this story, Jesus says God's heart is so big that there's room for you and there's room for me. Isn't that a great way to think about God? That God has an incredibly large heart, that no matter who I am or who you are or who anyone is in this wide, wide world, God has room for us. Wow, that really makes me feel good. That in God's heart, there is so much room. It doesn't make any difference who I am. There's room for me. You know, one of the ways that God shows his love for us is by different signs. We've used these signs, hearts, but God also gives us a very important sign of love, and that is the cross. The cross is an important symbol for us as we remember God's love. It's the sign of love that Jesus had for us as well. Remember at the beginning of the story, in the Gospel of John, Jesus says, I give you a new commandment. Love each other. Say that with me. Love each other. You know, there's a very easy little song I'd like to teach you about loving each other. It just says, love one another, Jesus said. Listen, and maybe you'll be able to sing it with me. Love one another, love one another, love one another, Jesus said. Love one another, love one another, love one another, Jesus said. Sometimes it's really easy to remember what Jesus talks to us about when we sing it. Love one another, Jesus said. Well, there's one last way that I would like to remind you about Jesus' love for us and God's love for us. And it's a way that I hope I can remember how to show you. So, if you take another piece of paper and you fold it in half, and you fold it in half again, and then you open it up, and you fold it like a fan. In other words, you fold it on the opposite folds of where your paper originally was. I hope this works. You could cut out it may not work, but that's all right. You could cut out a little chain of hearts, but you have to be careful how you cut, because you have to leave a little connecting piece. I can tell that I'm already out of whack. You're going to be much better at this than am I. And when you open it up, the hearts stay together just about. Look, it's kind of a chain of hearts. It reminds us that God is with us always, and that Jesus' love, even the love of the cross, is with us as well. You know, how can you show your love for others The love that God, through Jesus, through Emmanuel, has taught you about. How is it in this time of the pandemic, of the coronavirus, how is it that we might show God's love, our love for each other? There's one very important way. Wear a mask. For Vacation Bible School, another important way of showing love for one another is by giving to Together Inc. And you're going to have more information about our VBS Special Mission Project, about Together Inc. as well. Remember, everyone, show God's love, whether it's through wearing your mask, through giving together at Together, whether participating in VBS. Always remember to show God's love to each other. Now, here we go. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train.
Welcome back! So good to be singing with you again. Let's get on board, little children. The gospel trains are coming. I hear it close at hand. I hear the car wheels rumbling and rolling through the land. Get on board, little children, get on board. Little children, get on board. Little children, there's room for many a more. I hear that train a-comin', she's coming round the curve. She's loosened all her steaming brakes and straining every nerve. Get on board, little children, get on board. Little children, get on board. Little children, there's room for many a more. The fare is cheap and all can go, rich and poor are there. No second class aboard this train, no difference in the fare. Get on board, little children, get on board. Little children, get on board. Little children, there's room for many a more. Get on board, little children, get on board. Little children, get on board. Little children, there's room for many a more. Excellent job, so great to be singing with you again. Well, we're gonna go on to This Train is Bound for Glory. And as we are singing today, last time I made you sing it quiet and loud, but this time I'm gonna make you change in the middle of the song. Okay, so if we start quiet and we get louder and louder and louder, we call that a crescendo. And if we start really loud and we get quieter and quieter and quieter, we call that a decrescendo. Those are just special fancy music words for getting louder and getting quieter. So let's sing it once, and then I get to be a conductor, because that's always a dream of mine, to conduct. So here we go. This train, let's sing it. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train. Okay, so here's how it's gonna work. We are gonna start, and I'm gonna put my hand just like this. This train is bound for glory, this train. But if I put my hand down here, you need to get quieter. This train is bound for glory, this train. If my hand comes up here, you're gonna get louder. This train is bound for glory, Jesus made a place in heaven for us. So I'm gonna have a challenge for you. Can you sing louder and quieter to match my conducting? Here we go. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. 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 Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train. With the guitar one more time. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train. Excellent job. Oh, I thought I could fool you. You guys are some great musicians. Thank you for singing along with me. All right, let's go to Your Power will pull us through. And we learned some actions for this song last time. And so we are going to be reviewing those, and I have even more actions for you again. So we are going to start. We trust. Remember that one? We trust. We trust. We trust in you, Jesus. And then you're all. Here we go. You're all. You're all. You're all that we need. Your power. Oh, you remembered. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. Awesome. Make a little table with your palm. Here we go. You give us hope and life that's forever. You can stomp or pat on your legs. You make us bold and we stand together. And your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. You guys are great at that. Well, the next part of our song is we're off on this journey. There's no looking back. So we're going to shield our eyes. And we're going to look ahead on our journey. Here we go. We're off on this journey. There's no looking back. And then we are going to make train tracks for Jesus to lead us on. With Jesus to lead us, we're on the right track. Whoa. Then we're just going to do arms in the air like you just don't care. Whoa. Whoa. Awesome. And then wide open spaces for wide open eyes. Our eyes are wide open. We're looking ahead. Wide open spaces for wide open eyes. And then slowly we're going to raise our finger to the sky. We're looking ahead for the next big surprise. Oh, and we're already there. Whoa. Whoa. You guys are so good at that. Let's sing our whole song. Here we go. We trust, ready, go. We trust, we trust, we trust in you, Jesus. You're all, you're all, you're all that we need. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. Excellent. You give us hope. You give us hope and life that's forever. You make us bold and we stand together. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. We're off. We're off on this journey. There's no looking back. With Jesus to lead us, we're on the right track. Whoa, whoa. Wide open spaces for wide open eyes. We're looking ahead for the next big surprise. Whoa, whoa. We trust, we trust, we trust, we trust in you, Jesus. You're all, you're all, you're all that we need. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. You give us hope. You give us hope and life that's forever. You make us bold and we stand together. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. We're off on this journey. We're off on this journey. There's no looking back. With Jesus to lead us, we're on the right track. Whoa, whoa. Wide open. Wide open spaces for wide open eyes. We're looking ahead for the next big surprise. Whoa, whoa. We trust last time, we trust in you, Jesus. You're all that we need. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you, we're trusting in you. Excellent job. You guys are just wonderful, wonderful musicians. It is so great to be singing with you. All right, well, we did so much singing today. I think it's time for some dancing. Last time, we sang and listened for the word power. And you guys were showing off all your muscles every time we sang about God's power. 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 And there were even some sneaky ones in there that were hard to catch. So you have to be great listeners to catch all of the power. All right, and I'm going to give you one more fancy thing if you're feeling like you're a superstar at this shuffle. So we are going to take our steps to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and then if you want to do a little spin move before you go back to the right, be my guest. 1, 2, 3, and then your jumps to the front. You could just take little bunny hops, but if you want to, you could even jump side to side to make it extra fancy. And if it's safe behind you on the way back, go for it. So make it your own, make it fancy, and have fun. So we're listening for power. All right, are you ready? Here we go.
Feel it in the air right now. It's all around, I see it everywhere. It's the power.
Good job.
Yeah, God's power. It's the power to
Got it that
move.
time.
And it started. It's the power to heal your broken heart. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. So don't hold back, no, don't hold still. God is here and He is real. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now freeze. And everybody clap your hands. Now stop.
All right, listen close. Power.
It's all around, I see it everywhere. It's the power. Yeah. Yeah, God's power.
It's the remix.
It's the power to move.
I missed
And
it.
started. It's the power to heal your broken heart. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. So don't hold
All right, get ready. Here we go.
still. God is here and He is real. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I got fancy. Can you get fancy?
Back, but you better look back. Let's do it all again right now. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now freeze. And everybody clap your hands. Now stop.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for singing with me, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
I'm super excited to see you spectacular travelers at Rocky Wrap-Up tonight. It's time for a Rockin' Railroad review. Today, you discovered that Jesus' power lets us live forever. Our Bible buddy Finn is a fantastic, friendly fish who reminds us of God's power and love. Today, Jerry showed us all the ways that Jesus loves us, even now. Jesus' love for us lives in us today and forever. His love lives right here, inside of us. We can show Jesus' love to others by showing them kindness and friendship and even love. Our mission project for Together is a way for us to show Jesus' love to families in our community. Remember, there's 2 ways to give. You can mail your donation to Hanscom Park with a note saying that it's for Together VBS, or you can donate online at Hanscom Park's webpage and click on that Together VBS tab. There will be a slide with this information following this wrap-up. Our goal of $500 will help many families feel Jesus' love in their lives. It's time to wrap up our trip for today. We'll be back on track for more adventures tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.